Good morning to you. I am Mark Sudduth, and here's what's up in the tropics for Thursday, July 14th, 2022. Good news to report still, as the Atlantic Basin remains nice and quiet. It is expected to stay that way over the next several days, so let's take a look at the ever-active Eastern Pacific, where we have Darby over on the left side of the map there. It's going to continue to move on off. Still hanging on as a hurricane. Probably not going to be much of an issue for Hawaii, in case you're wondering. Then we have Invest Area 96E down there off the coast of Mexico. That's going to go on to develop and eventually probably become a hurricane itself. Here is a look at some of the track guidance. Pretty big divergence later on in the period, but the overall signal is that this will stay well off the coast of Mexico, probably, like I said, strengthening into a hurricane at some point, and then it'll eventually die out over the cooler waters of the Eastern Pacific. Here's the satellite animation of the East Pac and the western parts of the Atlantic Basin. Notice right here a very vigorous upper level low, a very large upper level low, part of the tropical upper tropospheric trough pattern that we've had over the southwest Atlantic for the last week or so. That is a very unfavorable setup. It's just cold air kind of circulating in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and that is not a pattern that is conducive for development. There's 96E. Well on its way, like I said, to probably becoming a hurricane before all is said and done. Sliding over onto the rest of the eastern tropical Atlantic, look at all of that pink and orange and yellow out there, very dry, dusty air. That is the Saharan air layer, and that is going to keep things nice and quiet in the deep tropics over the next several days. As we'd expect, that's a pretty typical feature to see in mid-July. Looking at the GFS from the 6Z run, this is the 850 millibar level of the atmosphere, or about 5,000 feet up. A couple of tropical waves moving across, so the next few days, this goes out to about 5 days. Looks like things will stay nice and quiet in the tropics, but got to cite this tweet here from Ben Knoll down in New Zealand. That's where his office is, and he is keeping an eye on things, and he's indicating from a lot of the guidance here that rising air expected to focus over Africa and the Atlantic from about late July, so we've got a couple weeks to go now, and into August, coinciding with the ramp up towards the African easterly wave seasonal peak. And yes, that is good advice. The U.S. and the islands should prepare for hurricane season to turn more active right when we would expect it to do so, usually at the end of July and into August. That's when we normally expect things to ramp up, and the guidance is leaning in that direction this year, so we got to be ready. It's quiet now, but we know that's not going to last forever. All right, that is it from me for now. I'll be back later this afternoon with a complete look at everything with the hurricane outlook and discussion, so I hope you'll tune into that. I am Mark Sudduth. This has been What's Up in the Tropics. I'll talk to you again later this afternoon.